But she's a hater.
She's a hater?
And a hater because she believes so much in the Israeli life and the Jewish life that, all Arabs are bad. All, everybody's out to get us. And I don't know, there partially could be, but I think it's also what keeps you from growing.
Yeah.
Is if you're thinking, if...
Because you discount your friends. Correct. Or potential friends.
Yeah, for me, customers, I can't have them here because they might blow me up. Well, that's ridiculous, and where I really saw like something different, I was in Cabo San Lucas on 911, and the people treated me so nice, like they felt bad for Americans, but if they were raised like to hate Americans, you know what, they would have never, and I guess that's when I realized that all these little lessons I have, I realized that you got to be nice to everybody. You can't just be jerks. Excuse me 1 second.
I think so what happened?
Well, because we were raised, I don't want to say it was Orthodox, but it was pretty strict. I went to temple 3 days a week.
Wow.
My bar mitzvah was in Hebrew. I still look at the video and laugh, because it was an old school video,
yeah.
The big one. And, we ate, we didn't do cheeseburgers. I didn't have shellfish. It was... I don't want to say strict, because I'm sure if we were at somebody's house and that's all they had to eat, my parents said us to eat. Like, I don't remember, too young being not allowed to eat, but I know what I eat in my home, And the story, like, how it all really started is in high school when I was a freshman, I brought home some friends, and they wanted BLT, so we went to the store, bought bacon, and I was at home cooking it with, 4 friends, and my mom came home, freaked out, threw the pan away and everything. And then was really that, and I didn't understand because I was never really taught why we don't. It's just that's how it was.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of what sparked my interest, and I had a ham and cheese sandwich, and I kind of realized, wow, what's wrong? And as I look back on it, it was more about keeping with tradition as opposed to like me getting sick from it.
Yeah.
And now my grandparents will not come to the restaurant. My mom does, and she'll dabble in pork, but she's not excited. She usually gets the beef terrine.
So what'd you do before the Carnitas shack?
Well, before I've been a chef in town for about 20 years at different restaurants. But everywhere I went, because of my love for pork, I had 10 to 20 items on my menu pork. And if you go to most restaurants, you see they'll have like a pork chop,
right,
and that's it. Or a pork loin in a sandwich, or some, form of, either the loin or, I don't know, the pork chop or a rib or something like that, baby back ribs. That's like the pork, but
right.
I've taken all the parts and used it in different ways and try to prepare it differently. And so that's kind of what I got known as. My job before here was Kensington Grill.
Okay.
I had 39 items total on the menu, and 18 of them were pork.
Wow.
I had a section called the Hog Bar. We made our own bacon and rillettes and that. And I've just found it, you can explore flavors very well with pork. And I've just been traveling the last 2 months, going to all the farms that we buy from. And we're buying from all natural farms that have the best, farming methods. They grow the food on the same farm that the pigs eat, so they don't have to give antibiotics because it's a natural cycle with the water and that. So when it's shipped in, the water could affect the pigs, and you don't know, or the cows, whatever animal it may be. So I went and really made sure of that, and it just has even got me more excited about it, that I've been able to really take an animal or a product, if you want to look at that way, and educate people on it, because they eat here and have a different flavor they've ever had of pork, because it's not what they see. Pork and applesauce. I don't know how many menus I see it on there. It makes me go crazy. There's 1,000 other things to pair it with, sweet, savory, and so we just really experiment with that here. And opening my own place, there was nobody to tell me no. So that's kind of what's really been the most fun about this.
Did you have some challenges that came up with opening this place?
A lot of challenges.
Yeah.
Financials, one thing, because, as I get ready to open another one, I've learned that what the contractor says it'll cost, you better add 10% on.
Right.
But 10% on, 150,000, that doesn't sound, only 15,000, but if you've already maxed out that 150, that 15,000 was really hard to find.
Yeah.
We ended up getting a loan through a company called Axion, that only helps people that have been denied from a bank.
Huh.
So we
High percentage probably.
yeah
Interest.
yes. Yeah. They're definitely in it for business. I'm not kidding. They're
Add
friends.
another 2K, right?
Yeah, exactly. But they do it.
Yeah.
You know, and it was either not have it or take this loan. And through that company, it's paid off dividends because we cater all their big events. We've been on TV with them 4 or 5 times. Just this last year, out of the 350 businesses that they lent money to, we won Entrepreneur of the Year.
Wow.
For my wife and I for here. So it just made us feel like, yeah, that was a struggle, but now it's working out. But the biggest struggles, I think, were how many people are nervous about pork.
Mm.
There hasn't been a sign of trichinosis since 1936, but there's still that thought of, oh, it'll make me sick if it's not this or not that. And so we just really work hard to buy out farms that we can have videos of the farms that you can see what they eat, how they live. We're not trying to hide anything, and I think that's what's helped us grow and expand, that you can meet our farmers. We even have had them fly out here and do Meet the Farmer Day, and they're just normal people. Yes, it's on a bigger scale, but it's not the stuff you see on YouTube, thank God. Because they are out there. I mean, that's reality.
Yeah.
You can go to, I don't know, like Bullies and get a nice hamburger, but you can also go in a Jack in the Box. Tell you they're not the same meat.
Right. Yeah.
But they're still hamburgers, and so it's having to educate a lot more. And as you see here on the property, we have 3 planter boxes. Everything in there is used in the kitchen.
Wow.
So we've made it to more be a friendly, food-focused restaurant, yet it is pork-centric, as we say. But I have a mini pig at home, and that's what the restaurant is named after. His name is Carnitas, and we had him before we opened this. He's a little mini painted Giuliani. So he's like 90 pounds, but he's about the size of, I don't know, like a wiener dog or schnauzer. He's just solid.
What was your inspiration for the design? Because I like the design of this place.
This really came from my cooking, to be honest with you. At Kensington Grill, there was one of an architect that was a regular guest, and he'd go hunting twice a year. And whatever he killed, I would break it down and do a dinner for 10 or 12 of his friends, whether it was quail, duck. One time we got deer. I knew animals well enough I could break it down and do a 5-course dinner. And I did it for him for about 3 years. And then when I told him about this, he said, I would like to be honored to design it for you. And, I'm a cook, when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
And I know cooking and food and animals and vegetables and that kind. And he designed it for us to be, I don't know. Every day I look at it, I'm still like, wow. And when we first opened, we only had the patio part.
Yeah.
And we quickly outgrew it within 3 months. This was a parking lot. There were 3 parking spaces because we had to do handicap. So that was took 2 of the spaces. So we had 3 spaces and a handicap. And people were driving their cars through, and it was so busy with no seats, people were just standing in the driveway. And somebody cutting across University, 2 lanes, pulling in at 30 miles an hour in the driveway, and there's people. It was scary. And we decided to do the patio. So the same architect then designed the planter boxes and the tree boxes. So by doing that, we added about 45 seats.
How long did it take you, for the word to get out that it became so popular?
Probably within 3 months.
Wow.
And the reason that is because I have already been a chef in town.
Yeah.
And part of what the story was that kind of helped us is I was all white tablecloth. My whole career is fine dining. Mm-hmm. And I left that to make a sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Basically, we do better food than just sandwiches, but that's what it was. And nobody could understand it, so I got a lot of free press, which I love free, on it. And that helped build it, and the biggest one is Lauren and Carol came here.
Okay.
And did a review and ate a steak sandwich, and that became our #1 seller for a long time after that. And we just that helped boost us, and then we got noticed from that. Then Sunset Magazine did an article, and that helped us. And then we got into Westways, as being a destination spot. And so all these little teeny articles, it may only have been that big, but it was in a magazine that 50,000 people subscribed to. So that just kind of helped grow it. And the fact that I go out and do a lot of public charities and cooking events. I'm the guy that if nobody shows up for TV or cancels, they call me and I'll go. I don't know, 5 in the morning, 8, I'll show up because it's free.
Yeah.
I take $10 worth of product. I don't want to sound so cheap, but you take, say, some product, you cook a demo, you feed the people on the camera.
But it's also
crew,
your time.
And it is my time, but how many people watch that? I mean, it's amazing. Every time I do it, my phone starts blowing up that the people saw me.
Yeah, I was just watching yesterday a video about there was a town in Poland. It was half Jewish, half Polish. And the Polish, like the hoodlum stuff, they just killed all the Jews in one day. And one of the things that they were talking about, like background, was like, so like two of the three grocery stores were Jewish owned. The Jewish stores would open at 7 a.m. The Polish one at 10 a.m. The Jewish ones would loan on credit. The Polish ones. So it was like, I guess I always just kind of, I'm always from the mind of like the Jewish, like where's the Jewish story, right?
Yeah.
So like even like your perspective on the food, like how deeply you dive into it, like, like most Christian, like halal is the only one that's similar to Jewish and like maybe Hindu, of like really diving deep into the food. Like where does the food, what's like the kosher, what's like have you thought much about like your Jewish like heritage kind of going through your food?
Definitely, because my grandma taught me, to cook. I mean, when I was 4 years old, I was making grilled cheese sandwiches, and she always let me help for every meal. I got to help her. So I think knowing it, and she always told me stories. Oh, when I was a little girl, we couldn't even afford this meat, and now I'm making it for your lunch, So I guess I realized how special it was. That we were raised, my age, we didn't really have a lot to start off, but we always had. I mean, I never remember like going to bed hungry, and so to see that how my grandma had to work or, they had to figure out their meals, especially when they came over, because they were in Holland. And my family came over to Michigan, of all places. I don't know how. There must be a large Jewish culture, like grouping there. But that's where they came and how tough it was, and then getting businesses going, and it's funny. My grandfather ended up owning a car dealership.
Wow.
So it came out pretty good, and then my grandma had more, but she never forgot to tell me about what it was like. And then it wasn't like to make me feel guilty. I think it was for me to appreciate. That if you appreciate that eggplant, that, maybe you didn't have a fresh vegetable, for a year or whatever it was. My grandma remembered that.
Yeah.
Where we just go down to Albertsons and, there's 100 in a stand. That wasn't always like that. So I think it's helped me to see and understand why I choose this product and why I put so much time and effort into it. Because if you just take everything for granted, there's no passion in it. And I really think that's what my cooking is passion forward.
That's true.
I mean, everybody in the kitchen now that's working has been with me 9 years.
Wow.
From Kensington Grill to here.
Wow, so a lot of them came over with you.
Yeah. Wow. And Felipe, one of the guys here, has been with me 13 years at 3 different restaurants. And that's what I try to build, a family type environment. But also they know that we're always learning. Like every day I try to learn and they try to learn. And so it's never a stagnant job. And that really comes from my grandma, that the appreciation of everything. This
gratitude.
Coffee, this tea. She might have been overboard, but it stuck in my head. And now being able to travel now, because I have the time and the ability to do it and see the farms and meet my farmers. I mean, yes, Monday I did a photo shoot with the farms, with pigs, of course, but they want me part of it because I'm really... I mean, in town, if you read articles, I'm the Prince of Pork, King of Pork.
Yeah.
I've really been able to, put myself up there as, the master. And it's kind of funny to me that I've done all my work for all those 23 years that I kicked ass in these fine dining restaurants. I've gotten my best notice at a pork restaurant. Whether it's, and I know the Jewish part definitely comes out, but I think it's how many ways I can cook it.
It's funny, I started writing, because I'll write for the actual blog too. I already started the article when I got your first reply. And I knew how the article would start because anytime I talk to someone who doesn't know much about Judaism, And that's the first thing. Is like, you're Jewish, so you don't eat pork.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's it. And so, like, to me, it's like, yes, of course I eat pork, like, especially bacon. Like, it's not a necessary thing, but it's definitely something that people just really identify with.
True, and that's what always comes up. And and my grandparents, they're old. They're they're in their 80s. They don't want to break from tradition, and I don't. I still go see them. Mm-hmm. They just don't come here. Is the difference.
So you don't feel like any twinge of guilt anytime you eat pork?
I lost guilt long. That went away a long time ago.
Yeah, I didn't have it for a while.
Now it's all in profit.
It's all in profit. Gotcha. How did your grandparents come over here? Like, in what year?
God, I'd be making up a year. I mean, it was like
it was after the war. Oh, early. Okay,
yeah.
So
they came over young. So they're my great grandparents, but I never got to know them. Mm-hmm. So it's hard. I mean, they're the ones that brought over my grandparents, mm-hmm. and then they had their life in America.
Oh, so your grandparents went through the Depression.
Correct.
So because those stories really sound much more like Depression era kind of
so
stories.
So that's when they were around and lived, and it's my grandma now doesn't really talk, speak of the past anymore. Mm-hmm. It's just luckily she remembers who I am. That's really it's me. And then it's a different conversation. But my whole life it was, I think they really taught me respect for everybody and everything because. There were times that I remember being out in Palm Springs and people yelling at them, whatever slang it was. I was a child, but I remember them feeling uncomfortable. Huh. And I didn't even really understand it, but they always said, please, thank you, always, yes sir, no sir, They always taught me how to respect other people, and I think that comes from probably being through the rough times, and seeing it, so... That's how I try to promote in my staff here, and we talk. We're respectful for everybody. I may yell at you, but it's because you're not cooking right. It doesn't have anything with you. It's because you know that dish. And, that's how we raise it. And unfortunately, my family, through the years, has had so many issues with each other that we don't have a tight-knit family.
Yeah.
And it's really a shame that we can't. But the funny thing is, I'm doing a dinner... God, I got secretary with Jeff Rossman from Terra, who's another Jew, with 2 or 3 other Jewish chefs in town. We're going to try to put together something. Wow. But it's not going to be traditional, but it's going to be 5 Jews and their food. I don't know what he's doing, but we committed to it. So
that's awesome.
So that's going to be happening this year soon. But it's just so... Those are the people I'm closer to. Because I don't really go to temple anymore, mm-hmm. but I still see people in my own religion, that we still talk about it and try to be a part. But I think unfortunately with my family, they lost it so bad that it's hard for me to follow mm-hmm. the Judaism and be a part of our life. But like I said, I do it by charity, and that's kind of how I feel I can give back and promote my culture.
Yeah, definitely. How did you end up in San Diego?
I'm my grandparents moved to La Jolla.
Okay.
And then my mom was born in La Jolla. Because my uncle was in the military. There's really no record of my family. And it's a shame because I think my grandma married outside of the religion. Mm-hmm. And it caused so much inner turmoil within the family that it separated. I'm really the only one that talks to every sect of my family. Wow. They won't speak to each other. Wow. And my mom doesn't talk to her sister. Her sister doesn't talk to her own, cousin, and that. But I can speak to everybody because I don't care. I guess I've learned how to be less judgmental because of that. Which is sad. So I guess I am learning from them.
And maybe from like the pork, once you give up like those things that are like really old in some ways, that like the tradition part that isn't necessarily necessary at this time for people, like, and it's like I am super Jewish in some ways, and everyone's like, Sam, you're the Jewish guy, and yet like I like Sabbath, but I also like to do stuff. Yeah. I like to eat whatever I want to eat. I feel bad if I go to someone's house and I can't eat the food that they serve me. Like, that to me is kind of like a travesty. But to each their own, right?
True. But that's more than just saying you're a vegan and not wanting to eat it because you think that we're hurting animals. We're not. It's a part of life.
Right.
You know, really, you're hurting animals more because you're eating their food. That's how I look at it.
Huh.
You know, if they eat all the vegetables, what's left for the animals? That's animal abuse, no? Animals gotta eat. That's how I might take on it anyway. But you're right. I guess that's a big part. If you don't, you know, understand it. I guess that's it. I understand what, you know, is from the Old Testament, but I also live in the modern world. You know, and I have a pork restaurant and I have pork tattoos. So, you know, I'll never forget the first time my mom saw this was at Passover. I've always wore long sleeves. It was so hot I had it rolled back. And then, you know, those freaking went for something, grabbed for food, and you know, in the middle of prayer, I'll never forget.
Wow.
You know, and now as it's gone on, she knows I'm not trying to rebel. Obviously, I'm 47 years old. You know, I'm not out trying to ruin anything. I'm just trying to better my life, and this is what I feel like. You know, that I appreciate the animal and what it does for me.
So what about like the Jewish community? Like, do they know it all? Do you hear from anyone?
You know, all my there's Sam the cooking guy.
Yeah.
He's a Jew.
Yep.
They all bust on me. You
Yeah.
know, but they're still eating my food.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's how it's become. Is not as so much as, oh my God, what are you doing? As, you know, we've all progressed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that food is prepared different. It's raised different. It's, you know, there's so many things that contribute to why we can eat it. When I read back of why we didn't, it was about health issues and safety, to be honest with you. You know, we're smarter, the Jews are smart enough to know pigs are going to kill you. But not in this day and age, you know, and that's why. And shellfish, you know, if they didn't know how to clean it right, it was definitely not tasty. And I think we've have more education on how our animals and food are being prepared.
Being rational at this point.
Yeah, that's it, rational. I don't want to go against any, you know, the elders, but, you know, it's that way of life. But there's also, I just came back from New York, and we went in, and I was speaking to some of our brethren, you know, but the full dreads and all that, and they were just as nice as ever, and I don't feel they judge me for the first time out there, because they see this. I mean, it's not hard to hide this, and I have one on my neck, you know, I'm not hiding it, and they were really understanding, and I guess that made me feel really good about it. You know, they didn't say they wanted to try it, but I think they also see evolution. You know, they weren't, oh, I can't speak to you because you have pig tattoos. And still were talking to me, and
But you had that apprehension.
yeah,
You were a little worried about it.
I was a little. Well, I got dared to do it. You know, so I was already nervous because I got dared, and then it ended up being great. And I went and I had my first real New York bagel, and now I can't eat them here. So that ruined that, because when I had that, it was different than any bagel I've ever had in San Diego.
It's like having Mexican food outside of San Diego.
Oh, that is a perfect example.
We'll not do it.
No, we're there in New York. They're like, let's go get a taco. I'm like, no, are you crazy? You know, we're only gone 4 days, dude. You know, like I'm with another San Diegan. We haven't had Mexican food in 3 days. We're switching, you know. He's like, let's go do it. I'm like, I don't even care if it says Romero's. It's going to be ground beef. You know, there'll be no chili. Whatever the chili is out of a powdered thing. I'm like, no, we're not doing it. First thing, we landed in San Diego, drove right to our taco shop down the street here.
Yep.
So, you know, it's how it is. And if it depends how your family evolves, I guess. You know, I came from divorced parents, you know, couple times over, each of them, mom and dad, you know, grandparents doing it. So I think I came from unfortunately, very dysfunctional upbringing. Mm-hmm. And once that got bad, that's when all the traditions kind of went out for us. I mean, my mom still doesn't, you know, if she eats pork, she takes a bite to all, you know, yes, honey, you know, oh, it's so delicious. But did she really even take a bite of it? I don't know. And I'm not going to force it on her, you know, but nobody else in my family really comes to. So they still believe it, you know, I guess in traditions. But we don't do high holidays anymore. I don't do I haven't been to Passover in 6 years.
Wow.
Years. So it's my family's changed the dynamic. Maybe when we were all kids at home, it was easier for them. But now we're all adults and everybody's all over the place. It went out. I mean, I remember having Passover at what is that? I think it's a Macy's in Fashion Valley. They actually they have a room that's still there, and I've had Passover in that room. I mean, we were Serious.
Wow. At Macy's?
Yeah, it used to be like Robinson's May back in the day.
Alright.
'Cause my mom brings it up. That's the only reason I know. But they have like a space.
Yeah.
And that's when I really got to not like gefilte fish.
Yeah. Have you been to Israel?
No, I haven't.
No?
I had a chance to, but it was with a person that I couldn't handle. But it's definitely on something that I really, really want to do. Especially since the guy that owns Hudson Valley is an Israeli.
Uh-huh.
And he learned how to make foie gras in Israel. So now I have something to go for.
So San Diego, like, sounds like has pretty rich, like, Jewish culinary, like, vibe.
Yes. No, for sure. And, but it's also I had one chance because I was up in upstate New York. I had one meal I could eat before the plane ride. I went to Katz's.
Katz is pretty
And,
good.
yeah, I got blown away. And, it ruined me a little bit. Because now I see that they're doing all that, but they're still making their meat. Where a lot of here, they buy it. I said Katz's is what these Aikens wishes they were.
There's actually a place right next to Katz's. It's a lobster place. It's also owned by a Jew. So I don't know. Maybe you guys are like long distance cousins.
Exactly. It could be. I'll have to look into it. That's good. But but that's all I wanted to do. I really wanted to see traditional, and it was amazing. And the people were awesome. That just all the staff was happy. And that to me, I think comes from that Jewish motherhood that it's passed down. That whoever is in charge treats their staff so well that it is like a family. I mean, and they got a huge staff there, so it's all about enjoyment, I guess.